Hello guys, and welcome back to another video and another lesson. Okay, so as always, try to watch this video before the live session and try to check out the title, the lesson objectives as well. Okay, so our title is, as always, A Passage to Africa by George Alagiah. We're still talking about the same text, about the same author, and our title today is Exploring Language Used. Okay, if you haven't watched the previous title, which was understanding the writer's intention, please go back to that video and try to watch it and finish the activities and tasks. If you have finished that, then welcome to this new video, Exploring Language Use. This is very important lesson that we will go through different questions that might be asked in the examination as well. The lesson objective is to be able to analyze how language creates effect. Very important. We've got a couple of techniques that you can see. We've got their effects next to them as well. Okay, we have identified and we've studied all of these techniques before. If you have been with us and you have studied all of these techniques, write them down again and write the effects next to them. If you were not with us, try to make some research about what these techniques are, and I will answer your questions in the live session. Some techniques are the use of authority figures or statistics, and the effect is that it adds credibility to the text, to the information, to the autobiography. Use of humor, and then there's writers to reader. Okay, very important as well. The condemnatory language. The condemnatory language is very important, and it's a very important technique that we see in George Alagiah's text, A Passage to Africa. Okay, condemnatory language, it vilifies opponents. Okay, it vilifies opponent. This is a very interesting technique, and that effect is quite interesting as well. We will go through this in the live session, and I'll try to explain most of these techniques for those who do not understand them. But first of all, I want you to write them down with the title and lesson objectives on your notebook, and I want you to try and make some research about those techniques that you don't know and you're not familiar with. All right, with the techniques that you're familiar with, just write them down so that you can memorize them for the examination. All right, so write this down, you guys. Off you go. Okay, we'll come back. Now, identify techniques. Okay, I've got a little task for you to do, and I want you to do it on your notebooks. First of all, check out the notebook, all right, your notebook. Use the back of your notebook and look over the techniques we identified last year. Last year, we've seen a lot of rhetorical devices, a lot of rhetorical techniques, okay? And we have also studied their effects and what do they do to the reader, okay? Now, I want you to read The Passage to Africa, Passage to Africa again, okay? Read, maybe this is the fourth time that you're going to read the text again, and try to identify as many techniques as you can, all right? Read it. And your job, your purpose is to identify, as many techniques as you can. Try to do that on the notebook. Keep in mind what message the writer is trying to send through his writing. Okay, that's what you need to keep in mind when you look for these techniques. Okay, it means the effect of those techniques, okay, is the message that the writer is trying to send through his writing to the readers or to the audience. Okay, so you've got roughly 5 minutes. Off you go. Okay, now welcome back, guys. Exploring language. All right, let's just go through this slide together. Exploring language. What do you mean by exploring language? In the passage that we've read, written by George Alagiah, that passage is written both as a journalist and about being a journalist. Okay, a very important point. All right, now we've got two sides. All right, George Alagiah has written it as a journalist, and he has written it about being a journalist as well. That's why it's an autobiography about his journey as a journalist and other journalists too. Now, he describes what he saw in a vivid way, all right, in a vivid way. He described everything that he has seen. But at the same time, he gives the reader an insight into the world of reporting, okay, how those journalists are trying to give their reports and try to make those reports survive and try to, put them out there for the audience. Where journalists compete with each other, all right, they literally compete in order to know who has taken the best report, who has seen the best story, who has met the best celebrity, all right, to get the largest audience. because those journalists and reporters, that's how they think, and that's what George Alagiah is trying to tell us. Though there are different journalists, and sometimes the journalists who just, get rid of their human side, and they try to, find out the best story. They compete against others, and regardless of how awful the story is, they just want it because it will make, to understand, a lot of money, or it will just it will make the writer, okay, or the reporter take the story to a larger audience. All right, so that's what George Alagiah is trying to tell us. This is a very important point. So I've given you a lot of examples here concerning language style, and I want you to complete the following table and think about the different uses of kinds of language in the passage. When you read the passage again and you've just read it again, you have went through language styles, okay? I've given you 3 here. For example, emotive words are used to convey the word of the victims. Okay, that's why we use emotive words. As an example, I've given you adjectives emphasize their poverty. Adjectives emphasize their poverty. For example, hungry, lean, scared. Okay, these are the adjectives that the author George Alagiah has used in his passage in order to show us the poverty of these people, and that's emotive language, okay, to convey the word of the victim. Now, words give you a vivid image, okay? Language style, words give you a vivid image of the word of the television journalist. And I've used, they are like predators on the hunt. Okay, they are like predators on the hunt, just like we mentioned a minute ago. They, they compete against each other and against other journalists in order to get the best news, all right, or the best story. So they are like predators on the hunt. Okay, that's a vivid image that you kind of visualize when you read something like that. Predators on the hunt. You understand? You try to imagine that, and you will imagine it as well when you read it. So that's a vivid image, and that's what it creates. The third language style is sentence structure. Okay, the sentence structure is very important. Is it a long sentence, short sentence? What is it? Now, sentence structure is varied to engage the reader. As an example, incomplete sentences are used for effect. I want you to give me the other 2. So I gave you the first one, and I want you to give me the other 2 examples, okay, for each of these language styles. All right, you've got roughly 10 minutes. Off you go. Okay, now we'll come back. Analysis feedback. Now, what we're going to do in the live session, I'm going to ask you, if you've done your work, if you've done it on the notebook, and I'm going to ask you to read it for me. All right, so it's very important for you to do this and to watch the video beforehand. And then we're going to annotate your text with the relevant answers given by your peers. So when we hear all the answers, you're going to write those answers, on the text and next to the text, so that we annotate it based on that. Because you might have that same text in the examination, and you want to be able to annotate it now and get familiar with every aspect of the language style and with the techniques that I used as well. All right, so we will do that in the live session. We try to get some analysis feedback. Okay, perfect. Now this is the end basically of today's lesson, and I'll see you in the live session, and we will talk more about this. The homework that I want to give you for next time, okay, not for this time, but for the next time, I want you to study A Passage to Africa tonight. All right, I want you to study it. Just read it, go through it, annotate it. Okay, try to identify the techniques, try to look at it. Right, focus on the text, because tomorrow, all right, when we meet in the live session, all right, I'll ask you to answer a 12-mark question. Okay, a 12-mark Peter question, Peter paragraph, basically, on the text. And that's the most important question, is the 12-mark question. All right. You will have only 25 minutes to write an answer to study, so study well. All right. And you need to do your best. I want you to study A Passage to Africa tonight. Focus on the passage, study it, study all the techniques, the language styles, and, just go through it. All right. Go through the text and try to identify the techniques and their effects as well, and wait for the 12-mark question. All right. Thank you so much. This is the end of today's lesson. Just see you next time. Cheers.